In this video, I'm teaching you everything you need to know about ovulation testing. So if you don't already have a box of ovulation tests, you can go get one. We've got small, medium, large test boxes, depending on how long you're gonna be tracking your cycle, how many tests you want. If you're not in Canada, you don't have to buy ovary. You can just get any other strip-only test. Just don't get a digital ovulation test box because they're more money for literally no reason. They all test for the same thing. So when it comes to ovulation testing, these tests look for one thing. Every ovulation test works the same. It looks for luteinizing hormone, which you learned in the previous videos, is the hormone that triggers ovulation. So once you get a positive ovulation test, we know that you're ovulating within the next 12 to 36 hours. A lot of people think that when you get a positive ovulation test, that means you're ovulating right now. That's not true. It means that it's happening within the next 12 to 36 hours. So you could have started ovulating, or you might be ovulating tomorrow, or maybe the day after that. So that's why it's super, super important that we're pairing all of these different biomarkers so you can accurately identify your ovulation and fertile window. Okay, so inside the box, you're gonna get a little pee cup. If you don't have that, then just use another plastic cup or some kind of reusable cup. You're gonna have a bunch of strips. You are gonna have a cycle tracker, which we are gonna use to put your ovulation tests in so you can track your ovulation tests over time and cycle to cycle. And then you have an instruction manual, but I'm gonna show you how to use the tests right now. So in general, what we wanna do when we are testing for ovulation, simplest way to get this done is start on day 7 of your cycle. Day 1 is the first day of your period, or you can start at the beginning of your fertile window if you're confident identifying what day that is, and that will come into play when we look at cervical fluid specifically. When it comes to actually testing, this is super, super easy. You literally just pee into this little cup. Don't use your first pee of the day, use your second or third, or at some point throughout the day. Just be mindful of how much water you're drinking. If you pee in the cup and it's clear, then don't test for that pee. Wait for the next one or the one after that. It should be a light to medium yellow because if your pee is too diluted, then the ovulation test won't work. All you do is you test once per day until you get a positive. So once you pee into that little cup, we are going to dip the ovulation test in. So say there's like pee in here, you're gonna dip the test in. You're not gonna pass the max line, so just make sure you hold it in. You're gonna count to about 10 seconds, and then you are just gonna lay it down. I usually just put my cup on the counter, I lay it down like that, and you are gonna set a timer for 10 minutes, come back, and you are gonna check your ovulation test. A negative test is when the test line is not as dark or is lighter than the control line. A positive, and the only time you get a positive, is when the test line is just as dark or darker than the control line. A lot of people mess this up because with a pregnancy test, it's considered positive whenever there's a second line, whereas with an ovulation test, because it's not just looking for the presence of luteinizing hormone, we're looking for the peak of luteinizing hormone, it has to be just as dark or darker than the control line. So this is something that you'll want to triple check you are getting right, and that you are only marking a positive in your chart when you see that test line get just as dark or darker than the control line. And then what you're gonna do is with the cycle tracker, you are gonna start to put your tests in each little spot, and what you're gonna see is your test line get darker and darker over time. This is what it starts to look like. See how there's a bunch of different tests in there. And then of course, if you are trying to conceive or trying not to conceive, you can test for pregnancy as well, and you can keep all of your tests in one place. Once you get a positive ovulation test, you're gonna test one more day, and then you're gonna stop testing. So we just start cycle day 7 or the beginning of your fertile window. If you're comfortable identifying that, test once per day. A little caveat here, if you're getting really, really close to a positive, you can start to test twice per day. So I'm a morning tester. When I start to see my test line get really dark and it's getting close to that control line, then sometimes I'll test morning and evening just to make sure I don't miss that positive. But once you get a positive, put it in your cycle tracking app and then test one more day. Whether it's a positive or negative, doesn't matter. Sometimes we get 2 positives in a row, and then you put the tests away. And remember, that positive test means that you're ovulating within the next 12 to 36 hours. So this is all ovulation tests will do. They will tell you your approximate time of ovulation, and then in the next videos, we are gonna confirm ovulation happens with basal body temperature and changes in your cervical fluid.